Alright. Hey guys, we're doing my 2020 Game of the Year list. Top 10. It's only games that have come out this year. I'm going to do another one of the games I've played this year and how I would rank that. This one was already pretty difficult for a couple. I have a feeling that's going to be difficult because I played a lot of good games that were from older years, but my top 10 for this year that came out this year. I only played 10, so it was pretty easy to rank them. At least the bad ones. It was kind of hard to rank like 5 and up because I was like, oh, I loved all those games. But we're going to start with number 10. I'm going to start with the worst because I feel like that's better to start with. It was The Last of Us Part 2. To me, this was a terrible game, and I know people are going to be like, oh, it won Game of the Year. It shouldn't have won Game of the Year. It should not have, because it wasn't good compared to other games that came out this year. There were so many better games, even ones that I didn't personally get to play, that I was like, wow, way better. The only thing that had it going was the fucking studio that made these. Like, Naughty Dog can make terrible games, and still get Game of the Year, and that shows. That shows that it doesn't fucking matter about the game at all. Like, The Last of Us 1 was fantastic. It was wonderful. I loved it. The story was great. The combat's... I don't like shooters, so the combat's... It was the only, Naughty Dog game that I've actually loved, because I think their games are terrible. They're boring. But The Last of Us 1 had such a good story that it made it a good game. And that's what this game was lacking, because nothing that happened in the story mattered. I didn't care. It was boring. I wasn't interested. I wasn't emotionally driven. The one character that could have possibly given me emotional driven stuff was Joel, and he was gone. First 30 minutes. Didn't fucking matter. And Ellie, who'd become an amazing character, an adorable character that I loved in the first game, I wanted her dead 90% of the game. I wanted Abby dead 100% of the game. Both of them gone. They don't really matter to the story. They're both grumpy ass bitches who need to go someplace else because they don't drive the story. The story would work without them. That's what makes a bad story. If you can take out the characters and not care more or less about the story, your story's bad. And I think this is a bad story. It's not a horrible game. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. It's fine. It's average. I sold it immediately after I finished it, so it's not good enough for me to keep playing. But it's alright. That's where I stand on that. They could have done better. They had a chance to do much better, and they didn't. Number 9 is... probably going to surprise some more people. But Resident Evil 3. This could have also been a really good game, because Resident Evil 2 Remake, best Resident Evil fucking game. It's Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 3 could have had that. I have 2 complaints. Number 1, I spent $60 for a fucking game that I played in 5 hours and didn't have enough content, and I was never going to play the multiplayer, so it was a shitty experience. Number 2, I was told that Nemesis would be a pain in your butt the whole fucking game, and he did not touch you. He was scripted, and I don't like that. Mr. X was the perfect formula. He chased you. There was one scripted event, and that was it. The rest of the time, he's fucking chasing you. That could have been Nemesis. That could have been. That's supposed to be. That's where the whole idea came from, was Nemesis. That's shitty. That's boring. Why not do that? It's a horror game. It should be scary. Mr. X is scary. Nemesis was just like, oh, giant puppy dog man. Shoot him with a grenade. You're fine. And, I don't know. There was so much that was missing, I heard, from the game. And I knew I wasn't gonna like it. Because I played the demo, and I was like, wow, what is this game? It's boring. And it's so different from Resident Evil 2 demo. I was never gonna play another Resident Evil in the back. I was only gonna go 7 and then onwards, because I played 6, and I like 6's style. I tried to play 1. Had to use a walkthrough because I don't like puzzles. But the demo for 2 was like, bam, it hit me and I was like, wow, this game is fun. I gotta play it. And I bought it without even planning to buy it. RE3, I waited a whole month after its release hoping it would drop in price and it didn't. And I still didn't enjoy it. The demo was a big enough hint that I was like, not gonna enjoy this at all. So yeah, it was another game that could have done better, and I expected more of Capcom because they are brilliant at making games. I usually love their games. So, next up it's a little bit of a surprise because I've only played this once, but it was still better than the last two games I listed, and that's Minecraft Dungeons. I'm not a big Minecraft person. Little one loves it. I can play it here and there, but overall, it was alright. It was very straightforward. It was like a Diablo clone. It was cute. I could play it with hubby. Not that he did because he hates Minecraft. But I only played it once. I played it once to the end. And it was fun. And I've seen people play it in groups, and I've only seen them play it once. So it's like a one and go. So that's why it's like down at the bottom. But it's still better than the disasters before it. That's what matters. And for number 7, we have a game that is surprising. Because I didn't think it would end up on my list. But little hope. The reason I'm surprised about this is because Man of Medan was horrible. It was a horrible fucking game. Until Dawn was beautiful, but Man of Medan? How do you take a perfect formula and go so wrong? What is with games doing that? You have a formula, stick with it. But little hope, it wasn't Until Dawn style. It wasn't as good. But it was better than Man of Medan, and it surprised me. It was still very short, but unlike Resident Evil, where I was bitching about the price, $30 for a short game does not bother me. So they know what they're doing when they're only charging $30. I will say, the ending caught me off guard. I was sad, I wasn't expecting it, and that's what made the entire game. That's what made it better than the other games that I put on the list, is the fact that the ending came out of nowhere. Like, most of the story was pretty average. I was like, this is alright. It's not interesting. And then the ending was like, bam in your face. And for me, who usually sees things coming, I didn't. And I was like, damn. And it was a good game, so I played it again. I think I still own this one, actually. So, that makes it definitely a good game. This is where things kind of got difficult for me to pick games. But number 6, Amnesia. I loved the original Amnesia a lot. It's never been a game of the year type of game. It's just not. It's like a culty game, and I love it. Amnesia Rebirth had a lot of callbacks. And it's as high on this list because I have nostalgia. And I brought back that nostalgia while bringing in new stuff. And it had great voice acting to me and a great story. The mechanics are still Amnesia mechanics. We're not gonna judge. I will say, everything is better than Machine for Pigs, so that's a low bar set. But Amnesia Rebirth, I think, was my second favorite out of all the games they've done. So, I liked it. I don't have anything really all that negative to say. It's just that it wasn't like, it's not the type of game that would end up on my game, like number 1. Neither was the original Amnesia, neither was Soma. Like, they're all great. They're great games, but they're not like number 1 material. I'm very particular about number 1 material. Number 5 on the list, which was also very hard to place because I love this game a lot, Nioh. And to be fair, I played Nioh 1 like a month before Nioh 2 came out, so I was very fresh into the series. But Nioh 2 was even better than Nioh 1. Nioh 2 is let's say put this in perspective. Nioh 2 is the best Souls-like game I've ever played, including stuff from FromSoftware. Like, I love Bloodborne, but Bloodborne is second to Nioh 2. Nioh 2 has so much more fun combat. And we're not even gonna bring Sekiro up because, honestly, if I'm gonna bring up Sekiro is really boring combat to me and I hate it. It's just like, ugh. I feel like the story for this game is also stronger than any Souls because maybe because it tells you the story instead of, oh, guess what the story is. You gotta be better with stories. I know you like doing that thing, but I like knowing my stories. And I don't know, it was a good game. I'm really into Japanese mythology, and I feel like it's the only Japanese mythology game I've played this year that was good. And it was fun, and I've actually been wanting to play it again. So, fun. It's a fun game, and a great character. Advanced character creation. It actually almost over 1/4. It would have if it was longer. But I have to give 4th place to Cyberpunk, actually. I did finish it. And I'm getting through the second playthrough. So, I actually originally thought this game would have ended up as number 10. Not because of anything. Like, before I even played the game, I don't like this kind of future stuff. I don't like cyberpunk genre. I like the Horizon Zero Dawn where it's like you're in the future, but it's not all techie. All techie futures don't interest me. They're actually really boring. And the world itself is really boring in this game. Like, I have no interest in the buildings. I find the areas outside the city way more beautiful because they look like now. They don't look all futuristic. It's just a fucking desert, and that's way prettier than the whole rest of the game. But that's me. I don't like future stuff that much. I definitely like past stuff like Witcher. But I will say this game surprised me at how much I liked it because I was expecting to only buy it for Keanu Reeves, and that was the whole reason I bought it was for Keanu Reeves. Literally. I actually thought about not getting it multiple times just because I was like, wow, that's not my style of game. Especially the minute they said first person, I was like, I hate everything about it, and I still do. That's one of the reasons it's so low on the list. If I was going by enjoying the game, it would be higher because I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I think the glitches are hilarious. They're getting worse the more patches. Like, I didn't have that many glitches, and then they put the patches out, and my game's like, ha ha ha, and freaking out. But it's fine. I don't mind that. In fact, if this game had no glitches, I probably would rate it even lower. Because I would not be having as much fun without cars and shit flying through the air and getting stuck in trash cans. So if this game was perfect, it would probably be a not even make the list. So that's probably different than how most people feel, but I really think that if they do eventually get this game fixed, I'll have no interest in ever playing it again. Because the world doesn't drive me to play this game. Like, it's pretty graphics, the characters are pretty, but the world itself disinterests me. And the story's fine. The story's average. It's got Keanu Reeves, that makes it alright. I mean, he's the best part of the story. But there's no emotional impact. Which is weird for me because CD Projekt Red, when I played Witcher 3, everything was impactful to me. Like, there was so much depth and emotion. And I know that they put emotion into this game because I love, like, Panam. Her story arc is amazing. She's the only romance that has any emotion, though, so far. Like, I'm just doing the other romances to do them. But there's not enough of anything to care. Like, I've cared about 2 characters, Jackie and Panam, and that's all. I don't even give a shit about my own character. Like, none of the endings were like, oh, that sucks. No, I didn't give a fuck. So, if I have to put everything together, that's why it's number 4 on my list. Because everything all together, this is not an amazing game that it could be. It's an expansive game, but I have to say, after playing it for a second time, and being able to look back and see how much time I put in, the side quests are like 20% of the game. The gigs are like 90% where you're just wandering around beating shit out of people. There's not enough in-depth story to make this game worth it. Like, and the fact that I'm playing it a second time and I feel no draw to do any of the side content, but just to rush the story because I want to see the female perspective of the character. So, I'd have to say, I don't think this was that great of a game, but because of all the bugs and how much I'm having fun with them and how much fun I had, it definitely is number 4. But it could have been worse. It could have been worse. But it's an alright game. Like, it's alright. It's the Red Dead 2 of alright. Like, once again, I'm gonna piss people off with this list. But compare it to Red Dead 2 because everyone was in awe, and there's people that are still in awe of this game, even though with all the bugs. But I felt no awe for either game because neither are in my wheelhouse. I hate cowboy stuff. Cowboy stuff is stupid. I hate it. I hate future stuff. Neither of those are great for me. They're both big open worlds, but they don't feel that big. Like, once you actually finish everything, it's a very tiny world. They just put so much in it to make it feel bigger. So, it's number 4. I had fun. The glitches made the game as good as it is for me, honestly. Like, I do have a feeling without those glitches and mistakes in the game, it would be like number 10. But for now, it's number 4 because it's fucking hilarious. And number 3, this is where the list gets serious. My top 3. And number 3 is Melody of Memory, which they killed it. Square killed it. Let me talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 was a fucking disaster. It was terrible. I will never probably ever play 3 again. I have no desire to. I can play 1 and 2 and Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance a million times, but I will not pick up 3 again. Wow, that game is boring and it's not as fun as the other games. But Melody of Memory? Holy shit, I could play it for hours. It's literally just Kingdom Hearts music and pressing buttons, and that's amazing. They did a great job. I can't wait for DLC. I normally don't want DLC, but I want DLC for this game because I want them to put like fucking Final Fantasy music in it because it's fun. It's a fun rhythm game. It actually has a good story. Way better than Kingdom Hearts 3's. Just saying. But they did good. And I'm glad because Kingdom Hearts needs to get back on that road of good games. Because 3 was like a train wreck. Painfully. And here's where things got difficult. Originally, my second place game was going to be my number 1 game, but then things changed. So, my mama's done, okay? But second place, I think people saw this coming. They should at least know it was going to be 1 or 2. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, to be fair, if this had been a complete game, this would have been number 1. And probably the year that the last part comes out, it will be number 1. But I love this game. I love it to death. I've actually almost platinumed this game, which I never do. But I've played it through 3 or 4 times on my own because I just love it. And I have to say, that's actually, it's not a surprise because I liked the original, but I didn't love the original. Like, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite. But it was good. It really would have been my game of the year because I love Final Fantasy VII characters. I have a Vincent shirt on. That's how, you can't see it. That's how much I love Final Fantasy. I'm still on the waitlist for the freaking soundtrack from this game. I love it so much. It was good. It had everything I wanted. It had stuff from the original game. It had new stuff. It had fun combat. That was a lot like 15's, but better. And I liked 15's combat. So it's fun to play. It's fun to play. The story is fun. The voice acting is amazing. They nailed it. It's a beautiful game. And I'm excited for the next parts. I'm excited to see more. So yeah. And here is the game that actually beat it out, which was a surprise. I'm surprised, but also not kind of surprised because I love mythology. But I don't normally like roguelikes, but I like this game. And I am surprised, but pleasantly surprised that this is my number 1 game of the year. This game is, I'm still playing it. I have finished this game. I've not gotten the epilogue yet, but that's okay. I'm going to keep playing it because it's amazing. It is a really fun game. The story is really good. The characters are amazing. And the way they've taken Greek mythology and written a story with it is amazing because there's some things that I've never seen other people do when they take Greek mythology. And it's still really interesting. And the characters are amazing. I love everyone. All of them, especially Thanatos, though, but I love all of them. But also the artwork and the music are beautiful. Like, I have played this game for hours so much that my hand hates me and yells at me. Like, it's like, bitch, put the console down. It was the whole reason I bought a Switch was to play this game. So that shows how amazing it is. And I was actually surprised it beat out #1. But that's okay, because it's an amazing game, and this deserved to be Game of the Year everywhere. Like, everywhere this should have been Game of the Year, because it was amazingly done. It was a beautiful game. There was so much love and work put into it, and you could tell. So yes, this is my #1. So that's the 2020 of the year. And then I do plan to do top 10 that I played this year. So, thanks for watching. Bye.